Are you struggling to get out of bed in the morning, exhausted, feeling totally uninspired to go to work every day? And super successful, you're landed your dream job, your dream business, and you are looking at it and not feeling at all connected to it. Maybe even guilty that you've landed where you thought you were going to want to be, only to find out it didn't at all feel like the right place for you. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm the owner and founder of Laughing Lotus Wellness, and I'm a purpose expert. What I do is work with people that are just like you, who are struggling to find their fire again, to find that spot in their journey, in their business or their profession, where they once felt so deeply connected and rooted. And we get clarity around what you need to do to reignite and reconnect purpose and success. So today I want to give you, after all of the years of clinical social work, sitting across from people for 15,000 plus hours in my office, that there's 4 questions we can ask ourselves to help us look at how we're going to take care of ourselves and the areas that we can stand to do some work in that help keep us on this purpose journey, to keep our eye on the prize. And so I invite you to sit back for a minute and maybe get a paper and pen, and I'm going to walk through this with you today. So as I've already insinuated this month, we're going to talk about what renew means, right? So renew stands for reset energy in the new lens as we embrace the whole of ourselves. So we have been kind of dealing in content this entire month through my vlogs on personal agreements and intentions and inspiration and a new lens. And this last week of this month, we've really kind of dug into this idea of tending the garden of the soul. Okay, so if you're interested, I have a meditation on insight timer that should be loaded anytime. That is exactly this venue. And so if you want to go and catch that, I really recommend that you do that in conjunction with the content of the vlog this week and spend some time in just kind of steeped in this insight and awareness and asking yourself some of these questions. And so I just loved this meditation and loved this week's concept because it's so full. It's like chock full of information. And I say it's a powerful gesture to make sure that we periodically go through our lives and tend to like our garden for the flowers and the weeds, right? So the idea is that we want to always be digging deep into understanding what parts of our souls, what parts of our journeys are really serving, and what parts are we feeling like maybe we've outgrown, right? Maybe they're starting to atrophy. And so it isn't in a mean-spirited way. Like I've always been really clear this month about the idea of tending to things with curiosity and not judging or seeing them through a negative lens. It's really just about understanding that all of the things, even as they atrophy, were part of the journey of getting us to where we are. So we want to have gratitude for it. We want to honor it actually. And so I kind of invite a different little bit of a perspective and attitude about it than this, like, this didn't serve me. In a really powerful conversation with one of my friends in a podcast, he talked about his job through NASA. And he said something like, I was there for a while and then, this history, and it probably really didn't do anything for me in my journey. And I was like, gently challenged him, like, no, actually, it's all practice. On the journey of living into our purpose, we're going to go through all kinds of things. We're going to go through all kinds of relationships and educational experiences and live in different places and have different jobs. And so one of the things that I think that's really interesting is when people feel like they might not have been living into their purpose by doing things, you were always living into your purpose. Always. All of the parts of our journey are preparing us exactly for our purpose. And so in a minute, I'll ask you some questions to kind of get you going in this idea of like, what's serving me, what's not serving me, okay? But I had this quick reading. So it feels like a really neat kind of, there's 2 little readings I want to do, and they feel really deeply connected to leaving this one station of the lens, all these fluffies. Every time I sit down to do these videos, I swear there's like something in the air. So there's 2. One, it feels like it's wrapping up that concept of the lens. And the second one is really about grabbing onto this idea of purpose and how we look at it. So here's this. It says, this is from How to Live with Intention, and it's by Mira Lester. Said that correctly. It says, we're responsible for the construction of our lives. When our days make us feel as if we're in a mindless, empty rut and life isn't an exciting adventure it once was, just the right intention can pull you into a different mindset. Open your vision to the world and propel you into new experiences. Renewal is something that anyone can bring about in any moment. Well, you guys know that's my jam, right? You might pick up a self-help book that has a message for you that resonates with your desire to renew, or while listening to a podcast, you enjoy a talk by a guest who frames some old concept in a new way, which is one of the things I love doing with my clients. That's my favorite. Or on a weekend retreat with your church group, you reconnect with old friends and realize the values you used to believe in have fallen along the wayside. And it says, never feel you can't get unstuck. Sometimes it just takes clearing out the old energy to make way for new circulation to happen, new growth. That's what the meditation's about, okay? And it says, maybe it's time to put meaning back in your life with some renewal intentions, or consider joining a vision quest to birth a new vision for your life. Alternatively, you might take a long rest as in a vacation and rethink the paradigm of your life. Whatever it takes, choose a change. Move outside your comfort zone, grow and evolve. So we are going to be moving into May, and in a minute I'll introduce this idea to you guys. But I love this reading because it's all about connecting with like changing and shifting and transforming the way we're seeing things, right? Which is so powerful. There's so much power in that kind of decision making. And then this says, this is from Heart Talk by Cleo Wade, and I love this. Your life experiences are only as valuable as your ability to turn them into life lessons. So it's turning them into teachers. Okay, so that's my language, not hers, but I love this. It says, we cannot always control what happens to us, but we always have the power to leave any situation feeling stronger and wiser than we were before. There is an education waiting for us within all of our experiences. We just have to decide what to do with it. Choose to allow what you go through to fuel your growth rather than stunt it. And so this is just a brilliant, clearly I love this book, but it's clear to us, right, that this idea of taking our experiences, and it's just like what I said about my friend and his comment about maybe that wasn't really adding into his purpose, and I'm like, disagree. All of that is preparing you to be on this journey of purpose, right? And that as we cultivate this garden, as we go in, right? So every year, my sweet husband, I'll look outside, there he is in the yard plucking weeds. I'm like, oh my God. I'll be like, where is he? Went outside to like water or do something, right? And he's out there, he's doing the work, because by taking the old pieces out, by removing the detritus, right? The things that don't longer have vitality, what we do is we find that new growth springs forth. So this is really what we're trying to do in this idea of the soul. And when you tend to the garden of your soul, you're going in, you're taking a look around and like, okay, what do I need to renew, right? This is our last week of renewals. It's been such a good solid month. It's been so fun and perfect for the time of spring. And so for me, it's like, gosh, like we have really dug into this idea of this like renewing ourselves and giving yourself permission to step into that. So I said this can pertain to our thoughts, intentions, stories, places, jobs, relationships. Like it's such a big thing, all of this concept of this like soul gardening, so to speak. And so we want to just head into that with some curiosity and grace and kindness. And so what I would like to do, I invite you to get a piece of paper and a pen out. So here's the questions I'm going to leave you with. Here they are. So which areas of your life feel really good right now? So the first one is what's feeling really good right now. And I want you to imagine these are some areas to consider: spirituality, relationships, romance, your sex life, learning, novelty, fun, humor. You guys know I'm in there with that. Playfulness, joy, purpose, giving, connection. So, I mean, just that's a huge wide span of things. How are you doing in those areas? Which ones are feeling really good? And the next one is which areas feel like they need some attention? Because this is always like, right? Like, oof, boy, I'm noticing I really let slide, right? Someone just said, like, I reconnect with friends and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, some of my values kind of started to slide into the, into the unknown. And so which areas feel like they could use some attention? So again, we're going to return to like spirituality, relationships, fun, novelty, learning, purpose, joy, right? We're looking at all of that. What areas need some attention? And then furthermore, which people, places, situations seem to reduce your energy, What areas do you start to get you in them, and then you start to feel like, oh man, like my energy is like, okay, like this, right? So people, places, situations, okay, that seem to reduce the energy, and then conversely, which people, places, situations seem to increase and give you vitality. So as we're cultivating this soul garden and we're moving through into renewal, what we want to do is take a look at these things that we've maybe outgrown and take them apart and sort of decide how to gently remove those pieces from our world to give us space for expansion, which is like, whoa, guess what our conversation in May is all about? Expansion and the word expand. And so I'm super excited that it feels like that all kind of gelled together. And that's what I want us to spend our May really doing, is growing into the spaces where we made room by doing this, cultivating the soul. Okay, so we're gonna go through the questions one more time briefly, because I don't want to keep you all here for too long. So what are the areas you feel really good about in your life right now? What areas could use some love and attention? Which places seem to knock your energy down, and which spaces really boost you up? And so I want you to try to kind of go inward, spend some time in these questions, and get some guidance about what areas of your life you might want to work in. You can even use that meditation and insight timer that I did this week. And again, that's called Tending the Garden of the Soul, which is in my renewal series. And so you have this opportunity to kind of combine those things and answer some questions for yourself and kind of get some clarity. And we're going to go live on this subject. So what we're going to be doing is we'll incorporate a live to kind of sit in your questions and answers and dig through this garden soul of ours, and understanding that it really ties into our purpose, because if we are not weeding things out, then we're likely not creating the space for expansion and growth and the awareness of the spaces where we could do some work to really elevate our purpose, and even elevate the awareness of where your purpose is going to take you, and inviting that in, and seeing the teachers for our history. So when we've done jobs or we've been places where like that didn't really serve me, like that wasn't like that's all training for where we're going to be in our purpose. So it's all good stuff. And so even in the meditation, I really encourage gentleness and love and sweetness and honor as we were leaving the petals of these flowers that had become kind of wilty. We left them in this beautiful trail behind us in a way that even though they were behind us, we held regard. And there was honor for the journey. There was honor for the stories of those petals, right? They create the earth we walk upon. And there's this really incredible idea about recycling our energy. We want to recycle the energy that we've got in our lives, right? And so some things come in and they stay for a long time, and some things come in and they're meant to just be recycled. But they're all worthy. And so I feel like we just want to attach this idea that all the experiences, all the people, all the places, all the things, super, super worthy, right? And so I want to say that I think for me, when I think about this, I think about my job as a clinician and how many years I did that and loved my clients. And so what I had to do is go through, and it wasn't the work that was burdensome. It was not being in alignment with the kind of path I needed to be in for the journey. So what I did was I switched lanes. So it wasn't the people, it wasn't that was not working for me. It was I need to be in a different lane. And so I think that's an example of being aware of when something is beginning to lose vitality, and having a client say to me, Jen, you feel really serious now. And I was about died, right? Because that's totally the opposite of who I am in my soul. And that was a great wake up call for me, that I was losing my own vitality, right? I hadn't been looking at my own garden. I hadn't been checking my own soul garden for this, and recognizing that my vitality was going down. The blooms of my flowers were wilting, right? And I wasn't probably bringing my whole best self to my job, which is something I pride myself on. My client care and my customer care is literally number one to me. And my client didn't mean that to be mean at all. It wasn't malicious. I think she was like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, wow. Maybe not so much. Maybe not as much as I thought. And so those are moments where we get the opportunity to look inward and check ourselves, right? It's not with meanness. It's not with maliciousness. It's like, hey, I just want to be curious about this. And I wonder what that means for me. And for me, I had already known I needed to change lanes. I've known it. I've finally gotten really clear, and I just hadn't gotten up to the spot where I just like was like, okay, I'm just going to flip this switch. I'm going to make this change. I'm going to step into this space. And so I needed that. I needed that minute with that person to tell me I was different and I wasn't really myself anymore even. And so I invite, that's where we're going, right? I want you to have this opportunity to look at it for yourselves. Like, this was my journey and one way that I look at it. But I invite you to do the same. So when answering those 4 questions, I encourage you to sit in that for a minute, to do a little bit of work and a little bit of giving yourself some space in it to consider what that means for you and your purpose journey. So what I would love to ask of you as we close for today for this week's vlog is I would love to ask you if you would be willing to go over to my website, check out tips and tricks, because I have videos over there that are all about different areas of your life and connecting to purpose. And I would love to invite you to go over there and check those out. And so if you do me a solid, that would be amazing. I would love to have you do that. And otherwise, you guys, until next time, I hope to help you find your path to purpose, and hope that these 4 questions sort of help jog you into a new space of thinking and reframing the way that you're looking at tending to your own soul garden. And I am super stoked to bring you guys all of that content for May. That's going to be all about expansion in a beautiful, like, momentum-based energy content based on the month of April, which was where we were doing all of this renewal. And so now we want to expand into that. So I'm super excited to bring that to you. Hope you'll follow along, and we'll see you in the live to talk more about this idea of renewal and tending your soul garden. All right, till next time, guys, this is Jen, Laughing Lotus Wellness, helping you to find your path to purpose.